Hey guys, alright, I'm out here in the garage now, and what I'm about to do is I'm going to take my power steering rack and convert it into a manual rack. So a lot of people that have followed my build so far know that I'm doing a 1JZ into my twin turbo Z32, but I'm deleting all the AC, the power steering, all that's coming out. So a lot of people do two things as far as getting rid of the power steering. For one, they go in there, they take out the belt, they take out the pump, or they even come down here to the pinion and they loop these two lines and just let the other lines circulate through the rack. But you've got inside here, you got some seals, some rings, things you need to cut out that control the fluid from the left and right side of the rack. So what you've got in here in the pinion is the rotor, and that's what spins at the end, controls the fluid from left to right. So like I said, the best way to go about this is to convert it, depower it, and make it a manual rack. So I'm going to go ahead and try to show you guys a step-by-step process from start to finish and how I'm going to go ahead and get this done. And what I'm going to do first is take off my tie rods. I'm going to go ahead and remove the pinion from the steering shaft, and as soon as I get this out, I'll go ahead and start giving you guys a breakdown. So far I've got these tie rods out. I've got them both undone. I went ahead and just slipped them on out. I'm gonna go ahead and replace, these inner and outer tie rods on both sides. They're just old, bushings are worn. Now's the time to go ahead and do it. Next step down here is to remove this bolt. You wanna take that out from the shaft. Once you get that done, you'll next have to take out the 4 bolts that hold the rack to your cross member. So you'll have to remove the bolt here at the bottom, bolt on the back side, the bolt on the other side, and the back side of that. So let me go ahead and get this shaft taken care of. I'll get it dismounted, and next I'll go ahead and start with the 4 rack bolts. Okay, so I got one tie rod broken loose. These things hadn't been off in so long that they were such a pain to get off, but as you can see here, I just kind of had to bend that clip back. That seal will not go any further, so that'll just stay in place, but there's actually a little indention on this retainer clip, and that's what's going to keep it from going down any further, so it's going to be stuck right there. But what I did is I just stood on it, believe it or not. I just stood on the rack, on the ground, and then just took my wrench and just put it to the end and broke it free. So now you can go ahead and unscrew this. And get this inner tie rod out. And that's it. There's one side down. So basically, like I said, you'll break it down. You'll do that, and then you will work your way to the next side, and we'll get that one broken down too. After that, I'm going to go ahead and remove the pinion parts and get that one done, and remove these lines right here. These things get so seized up over time that probably best to go ahead and just take a small wrench and just pop it loose. So all right, I'm going to go ahead and get this side done now, and I'll break it down and let you know how it goes. All right, so I've got the tie rods off. They're done and removed. Now, I've already taken this off, but just to kind of show you how this worked, like I said, this is the pinion. Remove the pinion out, and inside is the rotor. And this rotor is what spins on the shaft. So you'll go ahead and take this out. Now you've got this opened and it's ready to go. So next step from here is you'll have to remove this. This should come out, and then once you take off this nut and bolt right here, it'll just slide on out. Okay, everything's apart now. So I've got this part unscrewed. Now this thing was actually a pretty big pain to get off. I had to put a pipe wrench on it since I did not have the right size socket for it. So I had to put it in a pair of vise, and like I said, put a pipe wrench on it and get this thing broken off. It's got real fine thread, so I'd be careful about putting an impact to it. It could possibly damage the threads. But now with that part off, the shaft should pull straight out. Okay. All right, now that it's apart, here is the seal that you will leave in there, but you will actually have to take off this ring. And this is the one that people either just cut completely through, or they just cut some slats in it and just leave it in place. That way the grease can flow from side to side. But what I'm probably gonna do is just cut the whole thing off, leave it off, and grease this shaft and put it back into the casing. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all this grease, get it all out, put some fresh grease in it, and pack all these areas before I actually put a fitting to it and pump it with grease from a gun. Okay, now that we have all the parts out and we have the seal cut, the whole reasoning behind this ring right here is because it separates the pressure of the fluid between the left and the right side of the rack. Now within that pinion, you've got your rotor. When that rotor comes down and spins on that shaft, it tells the rack which direction to go. So if you turn left, this rack is going to go this direction. If you turn to this side, the rack's going to go in that direction. So in a normal power steering rack with fluid, this is a pretty important part, but being that we're not using hydraulic fluid, we're going to be using grease, there's no reason to have this piece in there. So with that piece still in place is what causes a drag in the center of this bar. So with that drag, you in return get a stiff steering wheel, you can get a locking up feeling while driving, and that's not what you want when you're taking a car at a high speed. So we've got this out, it's done, and let's get it put back together. All right, so we've got it put back together now. I've got everything greased. I slid the shaft back in there. I also put the rotary valve back in place, and of course now it is turning like butter. No problems, spins with ease, so much easier, being that the ring was still attached the first time. You couldn't do that because, like I said before, you've got basically a vacuum pressure in there with the ring. So now that everything's greased up and ready to go, it turns freely with no issues. So what we'll have to do now is go ahead and start capping off these holes, and I will go ahead and put the plunger valve back on the back side, which is this piece right here. And how this works is it's spring loaded, and this little bar right here sits on the shaft. So the tighter you make that top adjuster nut, the closer this sits to the bar. Further away, the looser it is. So once we put this back in there, we'll see how many turns it takes, and we will try to adjust it to a good amount. Okay, I hand tightened the tie rods back on, put my seal back on, and make sure you get it the right way because there is a lip on that ring. So it's got to go back in the same way it came off. Then I'll take these clips, I will hammer them back down over top of the tie rod ends. Got this side done too. And then right here is the plunger valve. So right there in the center, you've got that nut. And what you do is just take a wrench, loosen up the outer edge, and you can also adjust this from the inside. So you loosen it, adjust it, then tighten it back. And that's what puts the pressure on the shaft itself as you turn that wheel. Now, right now, it actually felt really good. So I'm gonna leave it where it was at because I can just barely turn it and it turns perfect. Nice and smooth, no binding. So I'm gonna leave it where it's at. So I just tightened it back down from the way it was from the beginning. And then after that, the only thing you need to do is cap off your hoses You got 2 on both sides. Now I'm just going to go ahead and just put a couple of small bolts, and then I'm going to insert a grease fitting here, or you can even do one on the top side. Whichever one you do, you only need about 1. So just put a bolt in the other and put it back in the car, and you will be good to go.